Welcome in, Sports and Leisure Nights. It is December 6th, 2019, as I'm recording this. You're about to get into episode 29 of Sports and Leisure with Heflings and Heisier. A couple things, though, I want to mention before you get into this great episode. I had little technical difficulties. I lost a little bit of Greg's audio in that first 5 minutes or so. But the good news is you can't really tell that Greg's not there because Steven rambles on for about 10 minutes and just shouts on. So just imagine Greg's in the background shaking his head. I have a great episode, though, despite that, for you guys. Talk about college football playoffs, who we think is going to make it at the end. Get into the AFC and NFC North divisions in the NFL. And then lastly, we talk about our top 5 favorite Christmas movies. So I'm not going to prolong this anymore. We're going to go ahead and get into the episode. And welcome in, everybody, to Sports and Leisure with Heflings and Heisier. This is episode 29, and I am Ty Hefling, your host, and with me today, Stephen Hefling. Stephen, how's it going?
Good.
And joining us, Greg. Greg, what's going on? I'm doing fantastic. All three of us are back in the lab with some pens of paper and some pads of pens or whatever you want to do. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. Everybody had their fill. Everybody tired of turkey?
And that didn't last very
Oh,
long.
yeah, I'm sure you got too full of prime rib. You're like, I need some lower quality meats. Give me some of that turkey. What do you do for Christmas? Do you eat turkey or do you eat prime rib on Christmas?
What the fuck is wrong with you, the Heisier family?
Prime rib for everything.
You're eating them ass backwards. I mean, I understand what you're doing, but you're eating bird on Christmas when Thanksgiving is traditional turkey, and you're eating prime rib. I'm just saying, you're doing the same thing as us, just ass backwards is all.
Yeah.
You are Irish and Catholic. Well, I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious.
Hey, Heisier. New England still sucks, man. It doesn't matter if you're frozen or not. I understand that the goat, what's his name?
Yeah.
What's his name?
I see they let
Tom
the
Brady.
mental institution out early today.
He's
That's
going
nice.
To Cleveland next year. Fucking Cleveland.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you, Dad. Go back to the home.
Yeah.
Go back to the home.
Recess
They're
is
about to
over.
serve dinner. So go back and get your pudding. Thank you. So I almost guarantee he was. He does nothing but that's all he does. So yeah, that's fine. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna go into the college
we haven't already?
football playoff and what the rankings are. It's Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, and Georgia, but that's most likely to change. The good news is, I'm sure Steven, it's especially good news for Steven and probably Greg and me as well, but Alabama will not be in the playoffs after they lost to Auburn, which wasn't really a big surprise. I don't know if it was to you guys, but to me it wasn't. I mean, they're down their Heisman candidate quarterback. I didn't really expect that game to be as close or as high scoring as it was, so that was a little bit of a shocker that Auburn had to kind of win it on a missed field goal at the last second, but wanted to get your guys' thoughts and opinions on the Alabama loss first, and then who you think will end up being in the playoff. So, Steven, go ahead.
Well, first of all, if Utah is in 5th, Georgia, I think, definitely deserves the 4th spot because Utah will, I think, had just no stand one not chance in snowflake's hell to get to beat anybody in the playoffs. Just like we had the problem with Baylor. Oh, Baylor, and then they got beat. Now we had the problem with who was the other team?
Minnesota.
Oregon.
Yeah.
Oh, Oregon's so good. Look at them. They're so good. And then they got beat. No, these teams are snowflake teams because they're in easy conferences. They play nobody, so it's easy. Tennessee, if Tennessee played in the Big 12 and the Mountain West or whatever those stupid conferences are, they'd be undefeated too. Therefore, you have to give credit where credit's due, and honestly, it's a Big 10, SEC, ACC, a Power 5 conference, and but Georgia should get the spot over Utah. Now, I saw yesterday where everybody's freaking out because, the CFP committee, one of the guys in there was crying because Alabama dropped to 12, and he has no reason why they feel like Alabama should have dropped that far after losing to Auburn. And that's like the lowest they've been ranked in 10 years out of the top 10. That's crazy. Like that, I'm surprised Tuscaloosa hasn't burned to the ground.
Yeah.
Because they're ranked less than top 5. But I think it's great.
Yeah, you're cutting out. That's okay. I think we're gonna get that'd be okay. But the thing is, Georgia and LSU, they're gonna lose this week in the SEC championship game, and it's probably gonna be Georgia. So it doesn't matter if you think they deserve to be in there ahead of Utah or Baylor.
But just because they lose in a conference final doesn't mean they're not gonna not.
But they've also lost to South Carolina. You can argue that Oregon losing to USC is a better loss than losing to South Carolina at home. I think USC is a better team than South Carolina. South Carolina blows.
Lose to LSU. Come on, Ty. You're thinking with the wrong. You're just
no. And
okay, right. You know what? I want Utah to be in the playoffs, so when they get destroyed by whoever they play, I can make fun of you for being stupid. That's what it's going to come down to. Utah is not worthy enough to be in the college.
I'm not saying Utah. Utah lost to USC. Who they lose to?
No, I don't care if they lost anybody. It doesn't matter. Who's
okay? Yeah, Utah lost to USC.
Does a 6th person need to be?
But like I said, I think USC is better than South Carolina.
Are they ranked?
South Carolina, no. I dang no sure isn't ranked. They're not even. Carolina's not. Haven't.
So what the hell does it matter? There's 2 non-ranked teams that lost to 2 teams. That doesn't. You're running around in circles. It doesn't make sense.
But still,
there's no. You know what? Bring Alabama back up and sneak them in the playoffs because everybody wants to see it. Whatever, and they'll lose to Clemson again, and then LSU, Ohio State, championship game, Ohio State walks away with the championship. Done. This is easy. This is easy.
Yeah. Well, Greg, what do you think?
You want to put Notre Dame in there, Greg? You might as well. It's a cupcake rock throw fest at this point.
SEC championship game will be the LSU and Georgia, obviously, and then I think it's Oklahoma and who they play? Oklahoma and Baylor play for the Big 12. The Pac-12 is Utah and Oregon, and the Big 10 is Ohio State and Wisconsin. So, I mean, just what if?
Thank you.
Just what if Wisconsin does go out and beat Ohio State then? Then what?
If what?
If Wisconsin beats Ohio State?
Oh, like the beginning of the year when Ohio State annihilated Wisconsin? Do you think that's going to be different?
It could be.
It's not. It's not.
Well, as soon as you say it's an open and shut case, that's when Wisconsin's going to come in there and throw a wrench in everybody's plans.
Nope, not Wisconsin. I'd pick Iowa over Wisconsin.
Well, yeah. Okay, but let's just. Or what if Virginia beats Clemson?
What if Virginia beats? That's a possibility, because Clemson is not very good.
Well, I mean, they've won.
Well, they're not as good as they have been.
Ever since they had that close call against North Carolina, they've really tuned it up and beaten the crap out of everybody, which they should be because they're in the ACC, which is very very down this year. It's not as good as it has. It's been that way for the last 3 or 4 years, and it's not as good as it used to be. You know, when Florida State and Miami and all them were running the table all the time. It's not what it is. So I think if Clemson loses, though, that's tough. That's going to throw just another one-loss team in there again with 5 or 6 of them total, and it's going to cause chaos, just like the BCS did when people got all mad about the BCS. This 4 playoff team, it makes people just as mad because somebody's going to be left out that they think shouldn't be left out, and somebody's going to be put in that nobody thinks should be put in.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Oklahoma.
Well, what if Baylor wins?
But
I think if Baylor beats Oklahoma, they should take over Georgia's spot because their only loss is to Oklahoma. Oklahoma lost to Kansas State.
I think there should just be 2 teams, LSU and Ohio State. Call it done. That we don't have to worry about the other 2 teams are barely trying to get in because they're whatever. Because anybody in that 4th spot, I feel like it's gonna just get. I just feel like it's just a wash of a spot this year. I just don't feel like there's anybody worthy of it. I agree, but what Ty keeps saying, well, what if they lose? Well, what if they lose? Because he has to be
spot on impression. That sounded just like me.
So
all I'm saying is you have to look at these losses. I mean, they lost once. I mean, that's a fact. So you have to look at who they lost to. They lost to Kansas State.
But who did Baylor lose to? Their tough
Oklahoma.
Guy. Okay, so they're going to play them again.
Okay.
Do you think they're going to win?
They could. They should have won the first time.
Just like Wisconsin's going to go and beat Ohio State because they lost to them earlier. You're making no sense. It's not going to. Ohio State's the best.
This happens all the time, though. No, you sound like a turd. You think just because it happened once, it's not going to happen. It's always going to be that way forever. Just because you beat a team once doesn't mean it means that you're going to beat them for the rest of their life. No, it happens all the time. When a team loses, it's so hard to beat a team twice.
Exactly.
It's so hard to beat a team twice, especially in football.
No, Ty, listen to what you're saying. Ohio State is.
All I'm saying is it's possible Wisconsin go in and beat Ohio State.
It's possible.
Okay, because they looked pretty rough against Michigan there for that first half, and it's possible Baylor could beat Oklahoma because Oklahoma looked like crap that first half. They should have lost that first half. But
the first half is the second half when the end of the game happens and you win by 30. You can't. Oh, they look real shitty in the first half.
And I can't hear a single word he's saying.
Ohio State is the best team in college football, hands down. Their defense is the best. Their coach is about to get.
I don't want Oklahoma to be in. I think Oklahoma is always overrated, and I despise Oklahoma.
Great, but you think that Baylor's going to beat them?
Okay.
And you think Wisconsin's going to beat them? No, I'm not, because you got my blood pressure up. What else you want to hear? Why?
Yeah. Okay, well, who do you guys...
What happened?
I know we've speculated, but who do you think will be in the playoff come next week? Greg? LSU and Ohio State? Okay. Steven? Who do you think will be in the playoff? Same thing as like Greg said.
Can I be honest with you? I just really don't even care.
Please.
Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, and just whoever they want to throw in. It doesn't matter. The force of wash. Let's just say Oklahoma, because you're right. Georgia's going to lose to LSU. They'll be knocked out. And Oklahoma's not going to lose to Baylor like Ty thinks
Did you plug your mic back in or what?
Yeah.
No,
So we'll just go Oklahoma, Clemson. Am I cutting out?
Where are you? A fucking tunnel?
Yeah, this is the laptop microphone. Yeah, cocksucker.
Yeah.
I can feel what you're saying.
Now I'm mad.
Like Greg, I think it probably will be Oklahoma just because they'll probably beat the piss out of Baylor. And Georgia will lose to LSU. I don't think it'll be a close game. I think Georgia will lose pretty handedly. So, yeah, it's probably going to be Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, and Oklahoma in that order. I don't think any Pac-12 gets in there unless Utah or Oregon absolutely demolishes one of them, and then Baylor beats Oklahoma. I think that's the only way a Pac-12 team gets in, and that's it. So, All right. So that's it for college football. This talk. One more thing. Who of the three? We all agree on the top three. Who of the three has a better chance of getting upset in the conference championship and getting bumped out of the playoffs?
Clemson.
Clemson, Greg.
Not Clemson.
You don't think Clemson has the better
There's
chance
no-
of getting upset?
Who are they playing?
Virginia.
No, there's no chance.
Oh, okay.
0.
Boy, I am just.
Virginia's
So
been
then who-
beat by
playing
like I
degenerates.
don't know. Well, they've been
They're
beat by-
ranked, I
never
think.
mind.
Just, I don't know if
Are
that matters.
Meh. I don't know.
Who do
Well,
you
then,
think is
then
the
who is
best
it going to be,
chance to
Greg?
get
Ohio
upset?
State or Virginia? I mean, Ohio State or LSU?
Could be Ohio State.
And I'm going to actually go with LSU. We'll all get all three of us
I
in
think
there. So you think-
LSU. Yeah.
I do think I don't think it'll happen, but I think they have the best chance because Georgia does have a very talented team, and they could finally all put it together. Even though one of their wide receivers is suspended for the first half, I don't know if it's the first half or the whole game, but
Yeah, the
LSU just
receivers
could be
blow,
riding
that's the
high, and they
problem.
could be looking on forward and head and just let this one slip. I mean, you never know. I mean, when was the last time the SEC East won the championship game, Steven?
What?
So when was the last time the SEC East won the championship game? When it was Florida, like 8 years ago?
No. No.
No, I guess,
Tebow.
no, Georgia won. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
They won and they beat Bama.
Well, that was in the
Then
playoff.
Bama still got in,
Yeah,
right? Or no?
yeah.
No,
No,
they lost
Bama
to
didn't make it
Bama.
that year, though. They didn't make the SEC championship game. I think that was when Auburn played.
You said the last time an SEC East team won the national championship?
No,
Or
the SEC championship.
Probably Florida 8 years ago.
Yeah, 48 years ago.
2000. Wait, oh, I just had it. 2009 was the last time.
So 10 years ago. Dang.
The SEC members have played in the game. Only 6 have won. Wow, that's kind of crazy. Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn, and LSU are the only teams to ever win an SEC championship.
Yeah. And, yeah.
But 2009 was the last one. That
And
was
before then, it was just Florida winning those SEC championship games. They probably won 10, 9, and 8 and 7. They probably won 3 or 4 years in a row, didn't they?
That was back when Urban Meyer was there, huh?
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Chris Leak, and he took over from Tim Tebow. No,
It was-
and then he let Tim Tebow take over after that. I remember when Tim Tebow was just the second string quarterback and came in to run the ball. The good years. So, all right. Well, we'll move on. And today, a couple weeks ago, me and Greg started a segment. We go into a different NFL division. We did the NFC and AFC South a couple weeks ago. So this week, we're going to do the Norths. So we're going to do NFC and AFC North. So first off, I think probably it'd be one of the better divisional races. It'll be the NFC North, just because you had the Packers, you had the Vikings. Going into the season, I thought this would be the best division overall, and the Bears haven't really lived up to that hype, and neither have the Lions. They've really fallen down, but they have had a bunch of injuries. The Bears just haven't had any quarterback play from Trubisky at all, so that they haven't been as good. But the Vikings and Packers both been really good teams. So first off, who do you guys think is going to end up winning the division? And will the other one, will they end up making the playoff in the wild card? So
Vikings
Steven,
all the way.
the Vikings win the division?
Yep.
Apparently, you've never heard of Kirk Cousins. And
Well,
he's the
biggest
top
choke
5
artist
quarterback
in
this
the
year.
entire world.
I watched
Tom
the game on
Brady
Monday,
is-
and I talked about last week when you guys weren't on the
Do not
episode.
compare Tom Brady to. Do not,
Dude,
Greg.
Tom Brady since week 4 has numbers worse than Mitchell.
Yeah, but you
Trubisky.
can't compare
Yeah,
this
which
year.
is in Ty's
Oh,
top
God.
5 quarterbacks.
Greg,
of
if
last
I was in
year.
your house, I would slap you.
Fantasy quarterbacks.
Even your quack.
You can't compare Tom Brady's last 6 games in his career to Kirk Cousins' entire career. That doesn't work. It's like It's like wiping before you poop. It doesn't make sense for you to say out loud. Granted, Tom Brady has not had a very good
He has
last
had
half
prime
of the
time
year.
trouble, okay? But this last Monday game against the Seahawks, you can't pin that loss on him. He had one interception that wasn't his fault. It bounced off of Diggs' hands and landed perfectly in that dude from the Seahawks, perfectly in his hands. So you couldn't blame that loss on him, that turnover, and the loss. He did just enough,
That's
I
the
think.
first
And
one.
plus,
Good job.
he's down Adam Thielen. Dalvin Cook got hurt in that game, too. And like I said, I think he did enough for them to win that game. The rest of the team had too many turnovers. So
What's happening?
I'm not sure what more he could have done to win that game.
Well,
Well, then you think the
I
Packers are
mean,
going to win the division then?
right. He did good to the point where he didn't completely destroy the hopes of winning for the first time in his career. Good job. Everybody else did it for him, so that's good. We'll wait till he gets to the playoffs because I don't think they're going to win the division. I think the Packers are, but
Yeah, well, like I said, I think the Packers will win it because they do have to play one more time, and I think that is on Monday night. But I just think the Packers are just a better overall team.
Yeah.
No, I lied. They're not a better overall team. They have Aaron Rodgers. That's really all it is. Whereas the Vikings have the better overall team, and
they have.
Aaron Rodgers is gonna help pull it out.
Hmm.
But Greg, you go on and think why you think the Vikings are gonna win.
I think the Packers are kind of overrated.
A little bit. If you slow down that run game, if you don't give Aaron Jones any room at all to run, they get behind the 8 ball, and they don't have the receiving core that is apparently necessary to pull themselves out of wins. And Aaron Rodgers
They have
just
Devontae Adams, though.
I know, but I mean that's all they have. Can you name anybody else? I mean they have Jimmy Graham, but he's 5 years past his prime, and
There's only like 3 teams with another player like the Buccaneers with Godwin and Mike Evans. I mean, most teams don't have a second guy that's really very good. Or do they?
I mean, so a lot of teams do. I mean, the Vikings do. They have Diggs, and they had Thielen. Whenever he's hurt, the Cowboys have a couple good wide receivers. I mean, most teams have 2 decent wide receivers. I mean, they're 2 better than the Packers have.
Scantling's all right.
I guess. I mean,
I don't know.
I
You
didn't know how to
got
pronounce his
Aaron
name.
Rodgers, the bad man.
Yeah.
The best quarterback anyone's ever seen.
Who
It's
said
funny how
that?
he hasn't ever done shit. I don't know. Everyone says he's the most talented. He's the biggest.
No.
He's a freaking douche, like Tom Brady is being too.
Yeah, well, Greg, I think you can just. I mean, yeah, it sucks that your dynasty's slowly coming to an end, but that's just.
I don't
the
give a
way it
shit about
goes.
that. Tom Brady he needs to retire.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sick
think
of it.
it would
Sick of
be
him.
for his best. Yes, he needs to retire.
Or at least just, I don't know, hang out in his mansion all year, then we'll bring him in for the frickin' playoffs, because apparently that's the only time he can play.
Well, if he had Gronk come back, it'd be a lot different story, I think.
I don't know, you need mobility to be
A
a
little
quarterback
bit.
now.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I get what you're saying. And I am 100% with you that he needs to retire. But
I think he still
he
got some
feels
trail
like
to
he's...
tire.
Huh?
I still think he's still got some juice left.
Oh,
He just doesn't have enough juice to carry subpar offenses like he used to. I mean, he needs a little more
so
help.
there you go. Like he used to, which means you
See, I
stop
hate
before
that.
you
His
destroy
offense
your
ain't that
legacy.
bad.
I mean,
Yeah, James
not
White,
really.
Edelman,
And that's it.
that's it.
And if they somehow crawl and beg for Antonio Brown...
Well, I mean, if one of the 6 receivers they tried to bring on this year would actually stay and play more than a game, that'd help too.
Right. The problem is you need to have a deep threat in the NFL. If you don't have a deep threat, they can take away
Yeah.
the short ball, and they know Tom Brady's too big of a puss bag to ever stay in the freaking pocket under pressure and not throw it away. I mean, he doesn't make mistakes that way, but he doesn't make anything happen either.
Yeah.
They're terrible.
So-
and in our freaking power rankings, they're the number 3 team. They've
cry me a
lost
river.
they've lost 2 times.
Yeah.
I don't know. The NFL is just a complete pile of dog shit. If the Patriots are a 3rd-ranked team and they look the way
Well,
they
it's
do,
because
I
that
mean, they have a good
defense, they still have a good defense. Yeah, they've lost 2 games on the road. So,
But-
I mean, that,
But also,
that's
though-
still just as good as any other team. I mean, the Ravens have lost 2 games too, but they're number 1.
Yeah,
They're-
but they've
but
barely
they're-
won the games that they've won.
It's
Yeah.
speculation because they have Tom Brady, so therefore you never count them out with Tom
Yeah.
Brady. That's exactly how they have based that ranking, as being 3rd, is because, well, yeah, I know they lost 2 games, so whatever, but they're gonna make the playoffs. They're actually. Do you think the Bills have a chance of winning that division?
Yeah. All right. Well,
Okay,
so
good talk.
me and Steven think the Packers are going to win. Greg, you're still on the Vikings to win the division.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
regardless of whoever wins the division, the second team has the wild card kind of sewed up. I don't think there's any team in the NFC that's even close to taking them out of the wild card. Ooh, sorry. So, I mean, both those teams are going to make the playoffs, I believe. I'm not sure who get farther. Like I said, I still think the Vikings have a better overall team. They have a good defense. They have a much better offense than the Packers do. With Dalvin Cook, and if Adam Thielen ever gets healthy again, if he could play, that would just be a huge help. And Kyle Rudolph has emerged from the dead, and he's playing like he did 6 years ago.
Yeah, Jimmy Graham's a big puss bag too.
Yeah, he hasn't been good
No
since
problem.
he left the Saints.
He was good for 1 year.
I think it was 2.
Yeah.
You'll give me 2? Okay. So we'll move on to the Bears. If you're the Bears, this season's kind of a wash. You're not going to make the playoffs. I mean, you're going to need a Hail Mary and like 6 teams just falling off a cliff to make the playoffs.
You need a new quarterback.
Yeah, so that's the first thing. That's probably really the only thing I would think. Maybe another wide receiver. So, I mean, are you going to go ahead and try and draft a quarterback? Are you going to try and go get Cam Newton or somebody else? I
Trade
mean,
for
what,
Nick Foles.
you want Nick Foles.
If I'm
You want
the
that
Bears,
huge contract.
Sure. Overpay quarterbacks that are low energy and never really do anything. That's
That's
their
the
MO.
Redskin blueprint.
The Redskins just suck at everything.
Yeah, that we need more than a quarterback.
Like,
We need.
I'd rather be a Bengals fan than a Redskins fan.
I think that's a little harsh.
I'm kind of leaning that way too, Greg.
Yeah, they need to sell the team. The league
We are
needs
on
to
a
intervene.
2-game winning streak.
And we're gonna
Okay.
beat the Packers this week.
If we beat the Packers this week,
that's a huge upset.
that'd
Who
be
did you beat
huge.
the
Yeah.
last 2 games?
The Lions and the
The
Panthers.
Panthers,
And the
and
Lions.
then
Pretty
who?
solid.
The Lions.
The Lions. Well, the Lions didn't have Matt Stafford, but
Yeah.
still, the Panthers didn't have Cam.
The Panthers was a shocking win for me. I was
And
shocked.
we dominated the
Yeah.
3rd and 4th quarter was the best I've seen him play all year. I was blown away.
Yeah, and they
Anyway,
slowed down McCaffrey.
it's
That was,
shocking.
I think that was McCaffrey's like lowest
Shit, this
fantasy
is
output
worst
I've
game
seen
here.
this year.
Yeah, it was. It was his worst.
Like he had like 12 points, which for him is like
Well, they're not
2
going to
for
go
everybody
crazy
else.
with him. They need him, and there's no point in playing this year.
yeah.
For him to
Well, we-
even get 5 snaps is
Well,
pushing it
we
for me.
talked about the Panthers earlier. So Greg, you're gonna try and get Nick Foles for the Bears, which I don't think he's the answer unless he's in an Eagle uniform.
Of
Nick
course he's
Foles is
not.
garbage, and that's just
Yeah.
facts. Just facts. So I don't think they're going to be in a draft spot to draft a good enough quarterback.
The
I
best
really wouldn't.
quarterbacks aren't drafted top 15 anyway.
Yeah,
Look at Jared Goff. Look at Carson Wentz right now. They both suck balls.
Yeah,
I've been
Jared
saying
Goff
it.
especially.
I've been saying it. I've never been a big fan of Carson Wentz. Looks like I'm right.
I'm not. I think Carson Wentz is still going to be okay.
I think he lost his
Oh yeah,
mojo.
that's what you
Yeah,
need. Is an
he's
okay
definitely
quarterback.
lost the mojo, but I think he can get it back. So I'm not sold on throwing him to the trash yet. Golf, on the other hand, yeah, I mean he's in the trash can. I'm closing the lid on him. So
Yeah,
it's
like I
not
told you
good.
before the season started, that's why I picked the Rams not to make the playoffs. And the Saints, somehow they win games. The Saints are like the Patriots. They're freaking awful, but they win every game somehow.
Well, that's all people
Yeah,
care
that's all
about.
you need.
yeah,
It
that's
doesn't matter how you
coaching.
win.
Okay, so Steven, what are you gonna do? Let me go back. I don't know. I've heard some rumors that they might try to go after Cam. which I don't think would be a real good fit either because it's gonna be cold in Chicago. I don't think he's played well at all. I guess you just try and take a runner on whatever draft pick you get, see who falls to you, and you'll probably have to have another year of Trubisky, and maybe he plays better than this year. If he plays just a little bit better, this season's completely different, I think.
Yeah, they could get Tua. Tua's gonna
They
drop
ain't gonna
big
get
time.
They'd have to trade up and get him. I don't know.
think
No, you're
so?
right.
Yeah.
You're right. He might drop.
I heard he might go back another year.
Well, let's see
College.
what.
Well, after
It's a
he
good idea.
watches he's watching Bama crumble in front of his eyes. He probably thinks he can salvage him next year and whatever. But
Bama's fine. You
Ma-
just can't lose 20 players to the NFL every year and expect to be the freaking cat's ass
well,
every year.
their defense has been awful the last 2 years, and I just want to say I think it's because we got their defensive coordinator, because our defense at Tennessee has been real good. I'm sure that has not all that to do with it, but it just makes me feel good saying it.
Who did they lose to the first game of the year?
Who?
Tennessee.
The Eagles.
Georgia State?
Georgia
What does-
State.
what does that matter?
Oh, don't
No,
you
that
Tennessee,
was
yeah.
like
Just wondering.
3 months
Yeah.
ago, Jed.
And then BYU. Okay, well,
But we're 7-5 now,
Chicago
doesn't matter.
does not have a first round pick this year. Right now, they would be 18th, but with
Well,
that
I mean,
trade
the-
for Khalil Mack, it's
Who's
going to
their
Oakland.
coach? Who's their
They're
coach again?
screwed. Them and their frickin' linebackers. Bunch of idiots.
It might be just a coaching thing for Trubisky. Maybe he's just not being coached properly.
Yeah,
Well, he might
Linebackers
have-
are a dime a dozen. You need a good lineman.
yeah.
And
You need to control both
a good
sides of the ball.
secondary.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I guess playing it safe, like I said, get another year of Trubisky and keep your eyes open for a free agent. I don't know. Maybe try go after Fitzpatrick. I mean,
No.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, maybe they'll do a little something with that defense that they have. If
How
they
many
just,
teams
like I
do they
said,
have
any
left?
other just better quarterback play, they're sitting at 6-6 right now. I think.
They play
If they-
tonight. Don't they play the Cowboys tonight, right?
Yeah, they do.
And I think they're going to beat the Cowboys. Cowboys are atrocious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pretty
they
much
shouldn't
anybody
be as
in-
bad as they are.
yeah, I
No,
agree with
and
that.
That's a coaching problem too. Jason Garrett is
Like they are, like Greg said, they're the opposite of the Patriots. They have the talent. They have talent on both sides of the ball. They should be winning the games, but the coaching is failing them miserably. Yes.
And Jerry Jones is finally admitting that he needs to fix the problem. It's like his stepson that he just wants to love so bad, and the kid just keeps messing up, and he's tired of it, cutting him off. Get yourself a new coach, Jerry.
Yeah. All right.
Probably-
So, what do you think Chicago should try to do then, Steven? I mean,
I
are you
already
with
told
me
you, but
on
you
giving
didn't listen. You
just
keep
let
cutting me
Trubisky
off.
stay another year, or
I see you look at the coach. You need to get a coaching change. Not whether it's the head coach, maybe a new offensive coordinator. Do whatever you can. Because, like you said, they don't have a first round pick, so.
Trubisky? Where did he go to school at? Was it Duke or North Carolina?
No, it wasn't Duke.
No,
It was
Daniel
Daniel
Jones went to
Jones.
Duke. Greg, was it North Carolina?
Yeah, I'm wondering. I don't know. I never heard of him till the Bears drafted him. Traded up to draft him. What a
It wasn't
bunch
the
of
And also,
fucking
who wants to
tool
go by
bags.
Mitchell
God.
instead of Mitch?
Like
who
being
does
a Bears
that?
fan is just about as bad as being a Redskins fan. It's
No.
embarrassing.
At
don't
least
know
they have
about that.
good owners.
So a coaching change then, Steven. I mean, if like I said, go back to North Carolina, see if his offense coordinator is still there. See if bringing him back might get some muster up. 'Cause, I mean, last year Trubisky did play well. I mean, was he the best? No, but he was playing a hell of a lot better than he's playing right now. And the Bears were a playoff team. So, like I said, if you can get just a little bit more out of him with that defense, maybe get him another weapon receiver, because they got running back pretty much sealed up. David Montgomery started slow, but he's been playing better. I think getting a better quarterback play out of them, the Bears would be a playoff team. Maybe not this year because the Vikings and the Packers have been playing so well, but they would be fighting for it, I think.
Yeah, the Bears and the Jaguars are like the same team.
Which is real
Just
sad.
a good team, but horrendous quarterback play.
Real sad.
Yeah, and they just have something that you just know they're gonna fail. And that's what worries me about Minnesota too. Like they have a Super Bowl team. There's no two ways about it. But they're just the history of Minnesota is that they're gonna piss it down their leg.
And their window for that great team is
It is.
coming to a quick end.
They have maybe another year after this one before bunch of people start leaving, or they're gonna have to start paying people more.
Or they're just going to be out of their prime. I mean, that's what would be hard as a fan for the Vikings or the Jags or whoever. Like, seeing you have a great team and you're missing that one link, and then you have a quarterback that might be that guy and he plays good, and the next thing you know, it's just next year he's trash, and it's got to be so defeating seeing the talent that you have and then just not being able to
Kirk
do
is all
anything.
right, though. I don't know.
Like,
he played for the Redskins. I mean, obviously you're gonna have bad
The Redskins
content,
gave him a
but-
good team. The Redskins had, compared to this team that they're giving Haskins, they had such a better team that they gave Cousins. I mean, you had Jameson Crowder, you had Deshaun Jackson, you had a healthy Jordan Reed, you had a decent defense, and you had the running backs. I can't think of their name right now, but they had, compared to what they have now, it was a head and shoulders different team. So, all right.
The AFC, huh?
We forgot about the Lions. We gotta talk about the Lions.
Yeah,
I think the Lions, they came out good. I think just injuries plagued them this year. Stafford not playing hurts a lot, and then even when you lose Jeff Driscoll, which I don't think he should be a quarterback anyway in the NFL, it's not looking good. But Burrow has played nice. I think you keep him and have him as your backup. I think Matt Patricia's a good coach. I think you give him another year to try and figure out the Lions, because like I said, they came out and played well, and when they lost to the Packers, that kind of just put their season downhill.
Is this his first year as head coach or second?
I think it's his third.
Third? The Lions? No, he hadn't been there for 3 years.
I know it's not his first. It's probably his second. I want to say it's his third, though.
I think it's his second.
It's at least his second. Greg, when did the Patriots lose Matt Patricia?
Yeah, it's his second or third. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I really get that one figured out. So anyway,
That's his second,
I think he needs longer. He needs longer than 1 or 2 years.
we'll go to
prove
the second then.
himself.
But I think get some more players on defense, and they've also had some injuries, I believe, on defense. Both sides of the ball have been bad with injury luck.
Penalty.
But they have a good wide receiving core. If they could just find, they're like the Patriots with wide receivers, except it's with running backs with the Lions. They can never get a decent running back that stays healthy and can actually play well for them consistently. Like the Patriots have trouble finding a wide receiver. If the Lions can ever find another,
I mean, they got Edelman, but ooh, jeez,
he's not. Yeah, but I mean that's it. I mean, can you name a Detroit running back?
No.
Exactly. Kerryon Johnson, I think he got hurt.
Yeah,
they have that dude from Alabama that's been playing pretty good the last couple weeks. I forgot what his name is, though.
Yeah, that's all right. Enough Lions.
Yeah, like I said, I think Matt Patricia's a good answer there. They just got to get healthy and stay healthy, and they could put some things together. So, okay, we'll switch over to the AFC North, which is the Ravens, Browns, Steelers, and Bengals. Which has turned into a little bit of a, not really. I mean, we all know that the Ravens are going to win the division, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they could probably win it here in the next week or so. What are they? 10-2, and the Steelers are 7-5. So I mean, they're up 3 games with 4 games to go. So another win and a Steelers loss, it's over. So I mean, the Ravens could pretty much coast the rest of the way in and still win that division easily. So, with Lamar Jackson, how long do you guys see this going on? I mean, is this their quarterback for the next 10 years, or what do you think that's going to do with?
He's Michael Vick, except better, I think. I don't know.
Well, I think he'll be good, but I don't think he's going to do what he's doing this year every year for the next 10 years, because people start figuring him out in the tape. I think he'd be like Patrick Mahomes.
You figure him out. They've had
Patrick
12
Mahomes.
games to figure him out. They haven't figured it out.
Well,
it's a whole different
maybe
thing.
Maybe you hear what I said. What happened to Patrick Mahomes this year?
He got hurt.
He got hurt a few times, and he.
But I'm saying, is he not even
or whatever his name is?
No, is he throwing 50 touchdowns again? No, he's not.
Yeah, exactly. What I'm saying is he's going to still be
How
good.
many times do people throw 50 touchdowns
off.
in a year? It's happened 3 times ever.
Yep.
All right.
So I mean, he was obviously going to regress. I think I don't think he's obviously statistical wise, yeah, he's taken a step back, but I still think, the ability is there, and he's also had injuries to deal with Hill and Sammy Watkins, and then, their running backs have been a jumbled mess. I mean, we need to bring in LaShawn McCoy, that old guy. That's not a good sign for your running back crew. So, I mean, I still think they're good. I don't know if Lamar Jackson is like a Patrick Mahomes. I think he can run better than Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes doesn't have an offense like where he runs, 10, 15 times a game. He runs when he has to, when he needs to get out of trouble, but Jackson has designed runs, and they run those 10 to 15 times a game. And then he also runs when he's in trouble.
Yeah, he runs like he's in a freaking Madden game too. It's ridiculous. I've never seen it. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, Vic was like that, but Vic was a lazy fucker though. He never wanted to study anything. He just wanted to have his regular gangbangs and looking forward to all that. This Lamar Jackson, he gives a fuck. He's got that Tom Brady in him. He's a little more study. He wants to be focused. Better. I mean, he looks like he's out there. Like he doesn't know.
He's slippery.
I don't know, like if his eyes are gonna fly out of his head or something. But I like, you gotta like the guy, and he's a good leader. Everyone on that team loves him. They would freaking jump in front of a train for him. I don't think many people are jumping in front of a train for Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think the young receivers for the Patriots are jumping in front of a train for Tom Brady. He's
not anymore.
He's been so freaking cunty this year that I can't wait till he just has a freaking high ankle sprain and has to sit out the year so he can have a backup come in who would do just as good.
You're gonna miss Tom Brady, Greg.
God, you
no,
are just
I'm
pissing
sick
me
of
off
Tom Brady.
Wanting to have Tom Brady
irritates
get hurt.
me.
See,
go fly a kite.
Go kick rocks, bud. Jesus, you're so
I'm not
grateful for
tired,
having a great quarterback for the last 20 years.
I'm tired of hearing.
I'm tired of having a good quarterback. I'm tired of winning Super Bowls.
Like it's everyone else's fault when he sucks a fat dick.
Yeah, I'm tired. You know how many quarterbacks the Redskins have had in 20 years? 20. 5 this year. And you're going to sit here and cry about not having a quarterback for
I don't care. I would take a lesser quarterback that would actually frickin' try to make shit work. Tom ain't trying to make anything work. All he does is bitch and whine.
Because he's the greatest quarterback to play the game.
I think he has the room to do that.
No, he's
and if you question it, then he's going to punch you with his 6 rings while he's got him on his hand. All right, so
I get it. He's
okay. So back to Baltimore. We talked enough about the Patriots and the Redskins. I don't know. I said 10 years. I know that's Grassley overdue. That's not gonna. He's not gonna last 10 years just because injury or like Steven said or what you said. The league is going to catch up eventually because that's what it does. The NFL stands for not for long because once people get an off season to watch this offense work and have 16 plus games of this offense, they're going to be able to find little chinks that they can do that. And you saw San Francisco not really shut them down, but I mean they held them to what was it, 20 points? 2017 is that what the score was? Yes, that was weather help. That was weather assisted because it was rainy and snowy, and it's hard to do that, but that still plays into Baltimore's hand because they're a running team. I mean, if anybody can play better in the snow and rain, it's Baltimore because all they have to do is just run the ball. So, San Francisco, though, they do have a good defensive line. They got a great defense that can slow down that run and kind of get to people, and I think that's how you're going to have to do it. I mean, most teams can't, though, because they don't have that kind of beef on the line.
Yeah, well, Ravens have a very good line. But,
yes, that's also
what the Cowboys have devolved into.
And the Cowboys are getting, they're on the bottom half of that. Great, being the best line in the football because they're gonna have to. They've already lost one, I think, because his contract ended and they didn't have enough money to pay him, and they're just gonna keep losing guys until their line is in shambles. And I'm so ready for that day to come.
This takes way too long going through all these divisions, doesn't it?
Well, we'll go to the Steelers next. What do you guys think of the Steelers? Are they going to make the playoffs? They beat the Browns this last week. I mean, they're in the AFC, which, 7-5, it could very well get you a wild card. I think they're actually in the wild card right now. Let me look. Yes, they have the 6th seed wild card spot, okay? So they're going to have to fight the Titans and the Colts and the Raiders.
The Titans. I like the Titans a lot.
I agree. I also like the Titans a lot. I think they could definitely play
Ryan
But
Tannehill.
the only bad thing is
Yeah,
the
he'll be
Steelers.
beast.
The Steelers beat the Titans earlier this season, so they have that tiebreaker. But I mean, do you guys think Mike Tomlin should get? I've seen people say that Mike Tomlin should get Coach of the Year because of what he's done to
Which
this
we
team.
consider, but no, John Harbaugh, and it's not even close.
I can agree
Wanna
with
make
that.
an argument? I'll spit in your mouth.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's make the argument. Coach of the year for John
Absolutely,
Harbaugh.
he gets Coach of the Year.
I would agree.
Because of
I would
all the
agree.
talent around
He
him.
created a
Or you could
freaking
talk about
juggernaut.
somebody who has
A whole
nothing.
Name 2 other Ravens players, Steven, besides Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram.
Mark Andrews,
Well, you're putting me in the spot.
Ray
Ray Lewis.
Antonio Brown's cousin.
Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, Marquise.
Oh, okay.
We
Well,
just did
what-
that for Steven. I can't tell if
Doyle,
he's naming off 2
Boyle.
players.
Hey Ty,
Okay, but go to
yeah.
the Steelers.
didn't we have a question about who's older for Steven?
Oh, dang it. Yes, we did. Who was it?
That?
Dang it.
I got it written down somewhere. But
Okay,
all right,
good.
Carry on.
Steven, do you
I'd
think the
love to hear
Steelers
this
make the
question.
playoffs this year?
Huh?
Do you think the Steelers make the playoffs this year?
Don't are you? Is that you talking to the Steven behind you?
No, I'm talking to
Because-
you. I'm not talking
Pierre
to
Garcon.
No.
Yeah, do you know that you and Pierre Garcon are the same age?
Oh, well.
Actually, I think you're older than Pierre Garcon.
You're supposed to ask him how old you think Pierre Garcon.
Oh. Well, I
Oh,
thought
I
he was
was
like
gonna say
25.
Wouldn't you have guessed that he'd be older than you?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's been in the league for like
Ever.
since
52 years.
1990.
So, next year, are the Steelers going to just be a great team if they get Big Ben back and Juju and James Conner? I mean, because they've done most of this winning without them. So, I mean, next year, what do you think happens with them next year?
If their defense plays like they have been, then yeah, they'll be good. That Fitzpatrick, right, from the Dolphins.
Mika?
He's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, he's
I mean,
Defensive Player of
that's
the Year
what's keeping
candidate.
them in it. Their offense is terrible.
Yeah. Well,
They've-
do you
they've
think they
been
should
doing
move
that.
on from Big Ben? But I mean, that's going to be the same question with the Bears, except they're going to have even a worse pick, and they don't get a first-round pick either because it goes to the Dolphins for say Mika Fitzpatrick.
I don't know what they do. They're pretty much ensuring that they're gonna suck in 2 years and 3 years from now. And they could draft a quarterback next year, but I don't know. Maybe they can get a
Yeah.
guy in the mid rounds that
Or free
plays out.
agency.
Yeah, but who?
Yeah, I don't know.
You're like gonna get
Brian
like,
Fitzpatrick.
How many teams does he have left to
Fitzmagic.
play before he's played for every team in the NFL?
He hasn't played for the Redskins yet, but they'll probably get him to be a stopgap next year or something like that.
Why did you
And-
even pick him up? If you're bad enough to pick him up, just tank and get a
Well,
better draft.
He's kind of a backup, but then they need him to play because the starter. I mean, you saw this year because they were going to start Tannehill, and they did start Tannehill, and he was garbage. And you throw in Fitzpatrick, and he's played well. Last year they had him as a stopgap while Jameis Winston was hurt in Tampa Bay, and he went in there and he played well. He played real good. I mean, he plays good enough to get himself into the contract, and then he kind of just folds under the pressure a little bit when they need a big win. But I think he could be a better option than Trubisky or a better option than Duck Hodges or Mason Rudolph.
Better than Duck Hodges?
Maybe not that as good
Where'd that guy
as
come
good as
from?
Duck. Dang it, where did he come from? I don't remember what school he came from, but so okay, we'll skip the Steelers. I think I think they're gonna be better next year. I think they're gonna probably fight the Ravens hardcore for that division if they can stay healthy, and even not, maybe still. So the Browns, are they gonna make the playoffs, Greg?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Is that a failed? What? If you're the GM or you're the owner of the Browns, what are you doing to fix that?
Dissolving
next year.
the franchise.
Moving it back to Baltimore again?
If they can't fucking play better with the team that they have, then I don't know. I just think they're doomed. I
Well,
think they're
is
screwed.
that a quarterback problem? Is that a coaching problem?
Uh,
a GM?
That's a Browns problem.
I think it's a coaching problem. There's no discipline whatsoever there.
Yeah.
There's always Browns. You know, Baker's more concerned about commercials than he is about playing.
Those commercials are pretty good.
hilarious.
Though. I like those
They're
Yeah,
great.
then you
commercials.
got Miles Garrett, who just he knows everything about
Is-
dinosaurs and tries to kill people on the field. And all of their
That's
best
what-
players
it's
are
just-
just out there.
it's
Odell
the
wants to wear
sloppiest-
his watches, and
It's the
Yeah.
sloppiest, most self-centered team.
Odell's like a girl.
Okay, hypothetically, you throw Bill Belichick in on that Browns team, and they're the
Oh
head
my
coach.
God.
Well, what's the ceiling for that? Are they going to the Super Bowl? Are they making the playoffs?
They're pretty.
What
they're
could Bill
making the
Belichick
playoffs
do with
for
that
sure.
roster?
So they're making the playoffs.
Win it or just
I
be
wouldn't
in?
know. Huh?
Depends.
Oh, I say they at least make it. Maybe do the AFC Championship with Bill Belichick and that talent. Because
Yeah.
he ain't gonna take
Greg,
any of the
you said
crap
Super
that
Bowl.
they've done. I mean, like Freddie Kitchens is just, and you know what? He might
Yeah.
be the problem
He's in way over his head.
with all that,
I was
all those
pulling for him
superstars
every
at one
year.
time.
Yeah, but he just keeps doing. He's such a Brown head coach though. He just keeps doing stupider and stupider stuff and digging himself deeper and deeper, and like they keep giving him shots and they keep getting chances to play well and win a big important game, and they don't do it.
Before
So
the
I
Patriots
think-
played the Browns, they did a little thing. They did a ticket giveaway, and the guy would impersonate Freddie Kitchens, and they had to tell them what Freddie Kitchens was eating.
Freddie Kitchens.
I know of me telling you that.
It's fun to say.
Anything entertaining, you have to hear it. So
But yeah, I think the Browns they need to
carry on.
maybe not fire Kitchens, maybe just demote him because Baker does like him. But since he's been head coach, Baker's regressed. Jarvis Landry's really the only one that's been consistent or maybe even upped his game a little bit. Odell's played like crap. The defense is pretty good. It's sustainable. You can win games with that defense, and they have. But the offense is a mess, and I think that's all on the coach. And I think you get a different coach in there. You go get Ron Rivera. That team could do something. Huh?
I don't think he's gonna. I think the Redskins should pick him up.
Yeah, I want the Redskins to pick up Ron Rivera too, but I'm just saying if the Browns wouldn't got him,
No, we don't have that talent. He doesn't want to go there. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
he doesn't want to go to Washington.
nobody would want to. I don't think any. Well, maybe now more than a couple years ago, but yeah. So Bengals looks like they're gonna get the first round pick. They are a game behind the Giants.
Even if they win another game, they'll still get the first round pick. That's how set in stone it is.
Yeah. So what are you guys gonna do with that pick? Are you gonna trade back? Are you gonna get Joe Burrow? I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep that coach because they have a first year coach like the Browns do, who hasn't done anything?
Well, Andy Dalton is. I say you keep the coach, get a quarterback, because there's going to be a lot of good quarterbacks coming in the draft this year, and you go from there. Because I mean, at least if you have that talented quarterback, and next year it's just a garbage fire like this year is. Then you're like, okay, well, maybe we need a better coach. But you still have that good quarterback you drafted to, kind of still maybe salvage. So draft quarterback, keep the coach, and see what happens.
Okay. Greg?
What are you talking about?
The Bengals? What are you going to do with that first
I
round
got-
pick if you're...
I was dropped from the call.
Uh,
What are you gonna do with the first overall pick?
Yeah, if you're the Bengals,
Well,
do you
Joe
go for
Burrow.
a quarterback? Do you
Yeah,
trade
yeah.
down? Do you fire the head coach? I mean, there's a lot of ways you can go about this.
you definitely don't trade your pick. You keep that first pick. Like, I don't think you
Yeah.
can trade down at all. If you do, there's more problems than we think there are.
You take a
there.
quarterback.
I mean, but the Bengals need so much help, though. I mean, look
Andy
what
Dalton
when the
is your
Rams...
start there first.
You
They
can
have Joe Mixon and
You
they
can have Joe
uh,
Montana be a quarterback, but if
Boyd.
there's not a decent team surrounding him, he's just going to get sacked. Look at Archie Manning. He was a great quarterback, but the Saints sucked, and his career was
Enjoy you using that as an
They're all
example
right, they just
from
need linemen,
40
that's
side
it.
years ago.
yeah, exactly. Trade back, get some better defense players because the Bengals defense is awful. You could
Yeah,
trade back, maybe get the 6th pick instead of the first pick, and you get the 6th and like 2 third and 2 2s and a 3 or something like that. It's going to take more than a Joe Burrow first round pick to turn the Bengals around.
I understand, but you get him, and then you use your lower picks to build up the line and everything to protect him because Andy Dalton, even if you keep him, you built this line, but I mean Andy Dalton's only going to be 1 or 2 more years. He's
He's
been
done.
playing
I think
forever.
he's done. He's done with the Bengals,
Exactly.
I think.
So you buy you get the good quarterback, and then you start creating your core around him. You build the team around him like teams do.
You know,
I mean, it's going to take longer than 1 year to make it. They're in some serious rebuilding.
Well, the Bengals just have 7 picks. They just have 7 picks. So one for each
6
round.
6 picks on line and defense and 1 pick on a quarterback.
And some mock drafts, they're picking Joe Burrow first, and then a center at Oklahoma in the second, and then Malik Harrison from Ohio State in the third, which is, I mean,
that's a good start.
If you have the first overall pick, you have to get a quarterback. I mean,
Thank you.
I understand building from the ground up, but that's if you're like the 8th pick, or if you're in the bottom half. But if you have the first overall pick and you have a quarterback you
take
want, you
the
have to get
QB.
it. Because without a quarterback, you're fucked anyway.
I mean, if it's somebody you want, go ahead, pull the trigger every time.
Because you can get good linemen and defensive players, not in the first 10 picks, but more like the last half of the first round, second round, so on and so forth. So therefore, you utilize that number 1 pick to get the guy that you want to be your franchise quarterback, and then you use the other ones and get the Big Ten linemen and go from there.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, not saying you guys aren't right, but sometimes if you do look at the Texans when they got Daniel Carr. I mean, he was a triple of himself because they didn't have anybody to protect him. But I mean,
so
you had the same problem with Deshaun Watson. He doesn't really have a line, and he's flourished just nicely. So it just depends on what kind of dude Joe Burrow is. If he's going to be able to sustain that kind of pressure and be constantly beat on, because it's going to happen when when you have that defenses, that division you have to face.
Something in him.
He's huge too. So I mean, he's
what you need that.
He's got that it factor.
Yeah, you're going to have to. If you go play for the Bengals, you're going to have to. All right.
But,
well, that's enough talk about sports. So I'm sure you guys are tired of talking about the Bengals anyway. Well, that's fine. So it is. It's Christmas time. It's December, so we are today going to talk about your favorite Christmas movies and what movies that you. I want to do top 5 movies, but Steven is just totally against putting labels on things. So
you just said we're doing the top 5 Christmas.
Oh, well, then you complained and moaned that you can't put labels and numbers on movies and call them your favorite.
I can't. You can.
No, I can. Oh, I so can't.
And I can't because I love all movies equally.
Okay, whatever. Greg, what's your top 5 Christmas movies?
I don't really. This isn't a.
Greg doesn't watch movies.
Educated list, but I'm just gonna think of things off the top of my head.
Okay, we'll get back to you.
Guys go first.
We'll get back to you then. Steven, do you want to go? Or you want me to go?
You go first.
Gladly, I will gladly go first. Number 1. Best all-time Christmas movies that I love. They're my favorite, and I have to watch them during Christmas time. Number 1 is Christmas Vacation. Classic. Everybody should watch it. If you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it right now. And if you have seen it, then you know why it's number 1, because it's great. Number 2, I'm going to have a bundle of Home Alone 1 and 2. Those movies are too hard to separate. They're both good. They both are equally good separated, and together they're just as good. Even though, and I do like Home Alone 3 as well, even though that gets a lot of bad hype as being a terrible movie, Home Alone 3 I think is still pretty good. That's my second one. Third one is going to be How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey, not the cartoons. I like the one with Jim Carrey, and that one's the best. It's hands down. Jim Carrey plays a perfect Grinch, and it still makes me laugh to this day. It's a great movie. Number 4 is going to be Elf, Will Ferrell in an elf costume. That's tough to beat. It's still a great movie. It holds up. Still holds up to this day.
That's the first movie I thought of.
Okay, good. And then number 5 is Jingle All the Way. I love that movie. I don't think anybody else is going to have this on this list. Both of you probably hate that movie, but Arnold Schwarzenegger with what's his name? Is it Phil Hartman? Is that the other guy that's in there? I think I'm pretty sure. The one that's dead.
Is he the one that his wife killed him while he was sleeping?
Yes. Yeah. So I love that.
Rogan on.
Yeah, put that cookie down. Yeah, it's got Sinbad in it too. Those are really the only guys in it, but I love that movie. It's definitely on my list that I have to watch. And then Steven's gonna hate this because I'm gonna say honorable mentioned, but Santa Claus 1. Santa
that's
Claus
fine,
2.
because-
Santa Claus 2 is okay. I don't like it as much. Santa Claus 1 is good, and it's worth being mentioned. So that's why it's an honorable mention.
that was in my top 5. So
Ho ho, Gijo.
mine is top. Like obviously, Christmas Vacation, Home Alone is the same as Ty because that's what we grew up watching. Third for me is Elf, and then 4 is the Santa Claus. I like them all, but yeah,
The second
we'll
one's
just bundle that up.
good, but I think the first one's way better.
And then the Grinch is the 5th.
Like the one with Jim Carrey or like the cartoon Grinch?
Honestly, any of them. I just like them all. I like the cartoon, but I like Jim Carrey. Just
Well, they're okay because they just made that new one with Benedict Cumberbatch, and
I
I
really
think that's the
haven't
worst
seen it.
one. And then I'm talking about the original cartoon, the one that's like 20 minutes long, which I like watching that one too. But I still like Jim Carrey one the best.
yeah, Jim Carrey one's good. I like Christmas Story, but it's never really, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, my honorable mention is It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Just because we had to
Yeah,
watch
you
it.
gotta have a classic in there.
What do you say?
I
It's a
do-
Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me hear your bashings now, Greg.
I did leave
haven't-
I think I
haven't
did leave the
seen it.
Christmas Story out, but
Really?
I'm still gonna
that's
keep
good.
it. I'm still gonna keep my
It's
list.
good. You
Yeah.
need to watch it. You need
Same
to
as-
watch it.
I will. I think my mom was telling me I need to watch it the other day.
You do.
Yeah, listen to
It
Anita.
really keeps you open up on. It really is. It's an eye opener for.
It's an eye opener.
Yeah, it makes you really stop and
Opens the
smell
eyes.
roses.
Good. I like those kind of movies.
Yeah, it's black
Better
and white.
than
Can you
all
handle
that
black and white?
bullshit, nonsense action crap. I
Yeah,
need to see
you know,
a
there's
car
tons
flip.
of action
I need
action
to be,
Christmas movies.
I need to be taken in. I'm just talking about movies in general.
Yeah, Fast and the Furious, Snowdrift.
Like, give me a Pursuit of Happiness over a freaking action movie any day of the week.
Pursuit of Happiness.
That
like
kind of
Pursuit.
movie is what I'm saying. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Not like. Yeah.
Not that movie exactly.
Like a real movie, like,
Yeah.
it makes you feel things rather than, ooh, wow, like,
Wow! Did you
Let's
see
go
that car
run-
jump off the building?
run
onto
into the
other
wall.
building?
Yeah. Okay, Greg. So
they're
you probably don't have a top 5, but name movies that. Is there a movie that you watch every Christmas time, or if it's
No,
on
I always
TV, you
forget.
watch it?
By the time I think of watching Halloween movies, it's freaking October 28th, and by the time I think of Christmas, and then time just flies. I don't know. I haven't watched any Christmas movies in a few years, but pretty much the same as you guys listed. A Christmas Story on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are just. I think everybody's lists are gonna probably be the same, give or take 1 or 2. Just 'cause those are the best movies.
Yeah, I do like Christmas Story. That's one that I can quote a lot. But I think it being on TBS for 24 hours on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve on 2 different channels, TNT and TBS, both aired for 24 hours straight. I think that made it lose some of its luster.
Yeah, I think that's what.
What do you watch, all 24 hours, or what?
No, but like when I used to work third shift for my job, you catch a little bit there, and you catch the next part you missed, later on when it starts over again, and
I
yeah,
gotcha.
I mean you watch it 3 different times, but you only watch a third of it each time. It's
Yeah. I've never had a job where I could watch TV while I'm working, so.
yeah, I suggest you do. It's pretty good.
It's a good problem to have, though, really.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I can see how it'd be irritating seeing, like, the same 12 commercials all day long.
I don't know. I mean, that's any TV you watch though.
Um,
Is there any Christmas
really.
snacks? My mom, our mom, Stephen and I's mom makes Christmas goodies like sausage balls or haystacks, or she gets
I love haystacks.
peanut butter crackers and she puts chocolate on it. There's a lot of Christmas goodies that she makes. Greg, I don't know if there's any that your mom makes that you like and that you like to snack on.
Frosted sugar cookies.
Frosted sugar cookies.
Yeah, I could eat
I do
those
like
all day.
the snowman cutout sugar cookies that you can buy like Pillsbury. Those are good. I can.
No,
Yeah,
these are homemade. They're better.
Yeah, I
than that.
figured that.
I don't
I
need
knew
that
Anita
fake
was.
frosting stuff.
Yeah.
Even though
I knew
it's
Anita
really
wasn't cutting
delicious.
corners.
Oh boy, that sounds good.
But the Pillsbury dough ones, they're just good. You put 3 of them on a stack and just eat them all at one time. But I like the peanut butter. My mom puts Ritz crackers, puts peanut butter on, and then she dips them in chocolate. Those are delicious. Sausage balls are always probably the first to go at the house, just because my dad eats them by the handful.
They don't even last.
No, they don't even have time to cool
5
off.
minutes after she makes them.
Yeah.
If you really want a good set of heartburn, eat some sausage balls. That'll really do it for you.
It keeps you up at night. So, Stephen, did I mention something? Did I not mention any that you like?
No, haystacks are my favorite.
Those just
The
they're like
What
Captain
are
Crunch.
haystacks?
The chow mein, like the
Chow mein noodles.
Oh,
chow
and
mein noodles
chocolate.
dipped in butterscotch.
Oh,
my
butterscotch. No
gosh. She
chocolate.
just takes some. Well, you could do chocolate, but she doesn't have butterscotch. But
God damn.
it looks like more of a haystack that way because it's brown.
Oh,
know?
you're right. Yeah.
So like it just looks like a big haystack. Yeah, but they're delicious.
Sounds
Like,
delicious.
Cut my mouth open.
Steven, if I paid you, would you make your famous mac and cheese and mail it to me?
I could probably do that.
With some dry ice.
No, we don't need a dry ice.
You don't need dry ice. I'll leave food sit out for 2 days and I'll eat it.
All I'll
Just as
do is
good.
I make the sauce, and then you just buy the noodles and boil them and toss it. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's what we did. He made some extra sauce for Thanksgiving. I brought over to Chantel's parents, and we made some noodles. And
Just make it for me and send it.
How can I deny
you
that?
can't boil noodles, Greg.
Well,
No, I know Steven. He makes it good somehow.
I think he's
I'm gonna boil your noodles in Bush Light.
in Bush Latte. So I think that'll about do it for this episode. Anything else you guys want to add before we start plugging away?
No.
Greg?
No.
I do want to point out there, I am winning the podcast NFL Pick'em. I have the most wins. Hope
By
you guys.
5.
Yeah, that's still winning,
But
isn't
this
it?
week it changes. I've got
Yeah.
some secrets in there.
Make
I've
sure
been
you make
picking
your
with my
picks.
heart all year, and
It
it
hasn't
hasn't
worked
been
out.
working out. No.
Yeah. So you don't
And I
listen to your
miss my
heart.
Thursday picks all the time.
Yeah. Well, go make your Thursday pick. We started early, so you can do that this time. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Comment on iTunes or any platform that you're listening on. If you have any questions or you have topics that you want us to get into, you can comment on our page on Facebook. Like our page on Facebook. You can send us an email at sportsandleisurepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the account on Twitter. You can follow the three of us on Twitter. And you can even be friends with us on Facebook if you like. But, if we don't know who you are, we're probably not going to accept you on that. So, I think that's it. We hope you guys enjoy this episode. We hope you tune in to episode 30 next week. We hope you have a good week, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Sports and leisure Heflings and leisure sports and leisure Heflings and leisure sports and leisure with Heflings and leisure sports and leisure Heflings and leisure sports and leisure Heflings and leisure. This is sports and leisure with Heflings and leisure.